Les Leopold will be with us in our third hour, How to Make $1 Million an Hour, Why Hedge Funds Get Away with Siphoning Off America's Wealth, which could also be titled, How the Libertarians Took Over Wall Street. Eli Lehrer may have some thoughts on that. He is the president of the R Street Institute. rstreet.org is the website. And Eli, welcome.
Thanks so much for having me, Tom. Pleasure to be back on the show.
Thanks for being back with us. Danielle was just telling me that you described yourself as a green libertarian. I've never heard of such a thing. This is not, I'm assuming, a James Cameron movie character.
No, I don't. I'm libertarian-ish in my politics, although more of a conservative. I wouldn't describe myself as a green libertarian. I'm libertarian-leaning. I think climate change is real. I work a lot with environmental groups. So, I certainly have a lot of sympathy with the environmental movement. Not on every issue, but on a lot.
Okay. The fertilizer industry explosion.
Yep.
This industry had this particular fertilizer plant had not been inspected in several decades. The one minor inspection that it had been given by a state agency, they had been hit with a fine. They had not bothered to notify the agencies that they were required to notify that they had many times the amount of ammonium nitrate on hand that Tim McVeigh used to blow up the McMurrah Federal Building in Oklahoma City. But I think perhaps more disturbing in the context of the libertarian worldview, which basically says, industry should be able to do whatever they want and they will suffer the consequences in the free market, in quotes. I don't believe there's any such thing, but using your language, is that this group has spent a group associated with this fertilizer company, the Agricultural Retailers Association, $2.9 million buying members of Congress. The Fertilizer Institute, which is a more direct representative of them, has spent $14.4 million trying to influence Congress. Again, stuff that libertarians say corporations should be able to do. The money is speech. Let the rich buy whatever they need. Am I getting any of this wrong here?
Yeah, a number of things, actually. First off, I'm in agreement with you, I think, that there should have been more regulation, including government regulation of this. The fertilizer, we know it's an explosive. This is exactly why we should have regulation. I don't, simply because if it is a libertarian position to say that business should be able to do whatever it wants, that certainly isn't my position. My position is that we should have sensible regulations that make sense. Regulating a fertilizer plant that's full of something that can be used to build bombs seems like an excellent public safety thing. Texas, in addition...
You are not a libertarian, then?
Would I say that I'm necessarily libertarian? I usually describe myself as a conservative.
Charles Koch would drive you out of the organization back when he was running for president.
I certainly would never have voted for the Libertarian Party.
I see.
So I never would have described myself at any point in my life as a libertarian with a large L. I really don't think much of the Libertarian Party at all. That certainly isn't my politics.
So what am I missing here? What, if you're agreeing with me that there should be regulations on these, and obviously the corollary to that is the government should be appropriately funded to enforce those regulations. Obviously, it's not. It hasn't been. It hasn't been in large part because people who call themselves libertarians and conservatives have been aggressively underfunding these agencies, and in fact trying to put these agencies out of business ever since the Nixon administration.
Well, first, Nixon created the EPA. So
not really. Congress created the EPA. Nixon tried to veto it. He was unsuccessful. He gets way too much credit for it. But it happened during his presidency.
A survey of national environmental groups rated Nixon as one of the best environmental presidents. In any case, I don't think much of Nixon either. But the And Nixon certainly was a big-time regulator. In any case, I don't know if the problem here, reading the Huffington Post investigation of it, which I think is excellent and would recommend to everybody, I don't think the problem here is that the agencies didn't have enough money. I think it's that they were incompetent. OSHA was in there doing some minor inspections.
They have enough inspectors that in the state of Texas, they can inspect every fertilizer factory once every 37 years. You're telling me they've got enough people?
I'm not an expert on OSHA's budget. It's quite possible they need more. It's clear that nobody was watching the store. If more resources are needed, I wouldn't have any problem with providing it.
Doesn't this ultimately expose the largest flaw in libertarian theology? And that is that the libertarian theology suggests that when things go wrong, companies will readjust themselves. They will recalibrate themselves. They'll say, oh, we don't want that to happen again. And they'll start behaving in ways that are honorable and truthful because they want their customers back. First of all, that doesn't work in a large country where they can simply move someplace else and start all over again anonymously. But perhaps more importantly, that always means somebody has to die before something happens. A bunch of people died in this case.
For serious public safety things like fertilizer plants, where they clearly have materials full of things that could be used to build bombs, that isn't a bad analysis.
What is not a serious public safety thing?
A soda plant, for example. I'm passing one right now on the road. A plant that manufactures soda. You probably cannot build a bomb.
I have been inside, actually. There was one in Michigan, a bottling plant that used to bottle, an independent bottling plant, used to bottle a really good soft drink outside of Lansing. I think it was in, I'm forgetting the name of the Oswego, sticks in my head. But in any case, the machinery in that plant, if you got too close and you stuck your hand in the wrong place at the wrong time, it would take your arm off.
That's a worker safety problem, which should be dealt with by a combination of private insurance, which is also, if you want to...
But once again, that's a matter of, okay, the company does fine until they kill somebody, and then, gee, they can't get insurance. Why don't we prevent them from killing somebody in the first place?
A good insurance system should stop them from killing somebody in the first place. Texas emphatically does not have one. Texas, under Rick Perry and the supposedly conservative legislature, has an insurance system statewide that is full of highly suppressed rates, that does all sorts of things to subsidize insurance, largely for the benefit of a handful of people. That, in the property insurance thing, it is an enormous problem, and it probably contributed to the number of houses that were close to the plant.
Yeah.
And therefore a problem. So,
because they have no zoning down there, basically.
Zoning too, but the zoning can only go so far. You need both, but insurance. If they couldn't get insurance, then whether or not.
Well, if somebody's going to kill me, I don't care if I have insurance or not. If the zoning is going to keep me from getting killed, I'm all in favor of it. But Eli, we'll have to continue this conversation another time. I appreciate your dropping by. Eli Lehrer is the president of the R Street Institute. Street.org is the website. Thanks, Eli.
Thanks so much for having me.
Good talking with you.